Hello everybody, I am back with part 2. Hopefully you've seen part 1. So when I say part 2 of my opinion on surgery, cosmetic surgery to the body and face, and then also kind of cosmetic enhancements. Again, this is simply my opinion. It may or may not trigger people, but I am here to share my thoughts because I feel as though it's a situation that can have people in quite a vulnerable place, specifically young girls. And I feel like the topic and the act of getting surgery or enhancement is becoming a lot more prominent in today's society, and I wanted to just have an open space where I can kind of share my perspective and thoughts. So if you've seen part 1, you will have seen that I discussed a stage in my life where I felt that I wanted to get cosmetic surgery. I wanted to get a boob job. So I'm not going to talk about that so much in this video. This video is more so about cosmetic surgery in general, and I suppose me as a woman, my position and thoughts on it. Sorry, I don't want to have like a huge intro right now, but that's where we're going with this. So if you have seen the last video, I actually got cut off. Someone was at the front door, so I stopped. But I'm glad I did, because I feel like this part now can be more so, rather than from personal experience, I can kind of just talk about the topic more so in general. I would advise, if you haven't watched part 1, to go back and do so now, because I want people who are hearing my perspective to get perspective of where my perspective is actually coming from as an individual who had a lot of self-confidence issues and was at a very vulnerable stage in my life and thought I needed and wanted cosmetic surgery, but I didn't end up going down that route. And I suppose it might give you more insight into why I think how I do now. So let's get started. So the last time I spoke about it, I was talking about if you are to ask an individual why they're getting surgery, I can guarantee you it is never from their internal self, their reasoning. They may say it's for myself or it's to make myself happy, but ultimately, as I said previously, when we are born into our bodies, we are born free. We are born not even taking into consideration the comparison game, whereby we compare ourselves and our bodies in terms of, I don't have this or I don't have that. We're just free, we're living. And then somewhere along the line, society shapes our self-image. So we take on people's projections, we start comparing ourselves, or we place value and worth in our exterior. I feel specifically in the teenage years for girls this happens, where we start to place a lot of value on our exterior and a lot of feelings towards our self-worth being reliant on our exterior, and put pressure on ourselves. Today, if I was to go onto Instagram, majority of the influencers, or I don't know, like prominent characters, celebrities, will have had some form of cosmetic surgery or enhancements. If I then go to Tesco or Lidl and I step into the real world, the chances of me seeing someone with the levels of cosmetic surgery that these people online have are so slim. But when we tap into our phones and we live on our online worlds, we start to get feelings of, comparison. Naturally, we compare and we see, okay, this is what this person looks like, this is what this person looks like. And subliminally, it becomes kind of like pressure for us to attain a certain image, even though, as I said, if you step out into the real world, how many BBLs are you going to see? How many like faces reconstructed are you going to see? Now, saying that, it actually is quite scary how easily accessible certain things and procedures are. So for instance, now I'm going to try and keep this, it's like hard to keep all my points together, so I might ramble a little bit, but just bear with me. We'll get there. I remember when I came home from Toronto, the first time I went out in Dublin, I was like, whoa. I realised how much lip fillers and Botox, specifically in Dublin, had become. Like every second girl I looked at, it was just so obvious they had something done, and it was quite scary. And people may say, oh, it's just lip filler. But the thing is I feel like a lot of the time it starts with just lip filler, and then it becomes a lip lift, and then it becomes an eyebrow lift, an eye reshape, a jawline shave, a bit of Botox. Now, it won't all be done at one time, but they're little things that start happening. And then it's no longer, it's just, their entire face is not what it was. Like, they're a different person. And for me, now, it doesn't trigger me, but I know young girls who are seeing these images of these girls online are thinking, oh, like they look so different to me, or I wish I had a different appearance, because it's kind of like clone-like. Like a lot of people start looking the same because certain procedures are becoming nearly like a trend to have. So like people's faces, especially like influencers and celebrities, it's like a lot of people are starting to look the same because they're getting the same things done to their face. And ultimately, we don't have long-term data on what all of this does to the body and like how we react, because ultimately what you're having done is altering like your natural makeup, like your genetic, like your makeup, your structure, and it's putting things into your body that aren't supposed to be there. So we actually don't have long-term data of what that does to you or like how it affects your body, especially in terms of breast implants, bum implants and stuff like that, and fillers here and there. That has to be harmful to the body because it's not meant to be there. So for me, it's so hard to say this like without, because I don't want it to come across as condescending or unaccepting of people who have these things done. I'm very well aware that people who do, a lot of the time, people who have these things done, it's obviously due to their feelings of self-confidence, and like that makes me sad. It's not about, oh, how dare they go and change how they look. It's a very personal thing to do, but it just makes me sad because I 100% know that it does affect the younger generation, and I feel like because it's so prominent now and so normalized now to have these procedures done, that a lot of girls are just going to naturally steer that way and kind of have that done and not put much thought into it. And I feel like it's something that you should deeply consider, because you're changing how you look and it can't really be undone. Like obviously you can have things dissolved, but like if you're having things reconstructed and stuff like that, like I don't know the ins and outs of that type of stuff, but like it's not an easy thing to fix. Like I don't know if you can ever go back to like your natural self of what you looked like before. And another thing is that I feel like, yeah, as I said, it's really accessible. Like most salons that you kind of get like your lashes and nails and stuff done will offer like lip filler or like Botox and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, it's so accessible, which to me is really worrying. And then as well, it's kind of made, it's casualized, I don't know if that's a word, but it's like thought of as being a casual thing to do. So there's certain people I watch on YouTube and they'll show you their glow ups or whatever. But a lot of the time that will involve them bringing you to places where they have cosmetic things done to their face. So they'll have like a lip lift, they'll have an eyebrow lift, they'll have Botox injected into their forehead, into their lines here, and it will show like all of that being done, and that's just their part of their pre-holiday glow up. And I, like when I'm watching it, I don't end up watching it, I shut it off because I just am like, wow, there's young girls watching this, and I know the people are trying to be transparent, and fair play to you for being transparent, because I suppose it's better for people to know, oh, they look like that because they've had this done. That's why I don't look like that. So it's not like a comparison of, oh, how does she look like that? Well, they're being transparent. They look like that because they've had X, Y, and Z to their face for them to look like that. So then I suppose that takes some of the pressure off. But what it does is it normalizes it and makes it kind of trendy. And then in doing that, it's kind of encouraging people to get it done. Then a lot of them will disclose that they're not encouraging, they're just being transparent and open, and that they don't want to like lie about their appearance, which I get as well. So it's a tricky one, but it does ultimately influence. Like if you are an influencer and you're posting and bringing people along, come with me while I get my Botox, my lip lift, my lip filler, my eyebrow lift, whatever it may be, come with me, here's my experience, you are influencing. You know, you're influencing. And as well, some people might argue, oh, well, like if people wear makeup, then they're changing how they look. I don't agree. I feel like you might be enhancing your features, or like, yes, obviously heavy makeup can completely change the look of your face, but it's not permanent and it's on the flesh. When you take it off and you wake up, it's not there anymore, and it's not a permanent thing for a young girl to have. And the same way, kind of like with fashion trends, you'll go through like styles and different kind of like expressions with your clothing and maybe like your makeup style, so like it kind of changes. Whereas when you have these procedures done, you're like that 24/7. And ultimately, and this really isn't in any way me being hostile or trying to like attack people who do have these things done to themselves regularly, but ultimately, if we actually sit back and think about it and ask ourselves, why do people do it? It's not internal, it's external. Society follows people, like naturally people follow. So the same way, if a certain type of clothing is popping at the moment, everyone will want it, or a certain pair of trainers, or a certain handbag, people jump to it because that's what's trendy at the moment. And I feel like what's happening is people are jumping to these different surgeries because that's what's common and trendy. So it's like a following mentality. It's not, I'm doing this for myself because it's healthy and it's going to benefit me. It's more so, I want to look this way because other people look this way. And it's from comparison. And they do say comparison is the thief of joy for a reason. And I learned that a long time ago, that when we compare ourselves to others, it's such a disrespect because we're not actually sitting whole within ourselves and we're rejecting who we are. Like, don't reject who you are because you're comparing yourself to another individual. That individual is who they are because of the life they've lived up until then. You are who you are because of the life you've lived up until then. of course we can aspire to be better and see, you know, personal traits in people that we think, wow, that's amazing that they're like that, and we can aspire to be better and, I suppose, gain those traits also and work towards them. But I mean in terms of like physical being, that type of comparison isn't healthy. And yeah, I feel like this is like a really hard video for me to do because, as I said, I really don't want it to be mistaken for hostile or rejecting of people who have cosmetic work done. It's more so me putting out there that it worries me that people are doing it for very wrong reasons, and it worries me the effects it's going to have on young girls, being how accessible it is and how common it's been made to be. And another aim of the video is for me to try and promote self-love and to stop comparing yourself and to realize that you need to step into who you are and love yourself for who you are, physically, internally, and what other people are doing around you is so irrelevant. Like, when you're in your grave, you're not going to be lying there thinking, oh, I wish I looked, you're going to be like, I wish I looked like this, or I wish I looked like her. You're going to be thinking, I wish I did everything I fucking wanted to do, or I wish I got over my fears of, you know, stepping out of my comfort zone. You're going to be worrying about that type of stuff. You're not going to be worrying about, oh shit, I didn't get my lip top up like last weekend when I was out and it was so obvious and da-da-da-da-da. Because ultimately, a lot of the time as well, is when you walk into a room, everyone's so worried about what people are thinking of them that they're not even thinking of you. But for some reason, we get it into our heads that when we go into a room, everyone's looking at us and think, no, they don't give a shit. Like, when I go into a room, I don't care what X, Y, and Z look like or doing. I'm more focused on where I'm going, why I'm here, what I'm doing. And yeah, that's where my energy is. But again, unfortunately, and as I said, specifically in the vulnerable young years of womanhood, do we start comparing and rejecting ourselves. And I feel like the cosmetic industry is designed to make you do that. Ultimately, no matter what it's there for is to reconstruct how you look. So by having these surgeries done, you're rejecting what you already look like to change. But why? That's the question I'm asking. Why? It'll make you happy, but why will that make you happy? Why don't you like it how it is? Because that's you. Why do we all need to look the same? Why do we all need to have these features? Why can't we just express and be loved for our individualness? Why do we have to be clones of one another? And again, as I said, this video is so hard to do because I realize it is probably triggering. But I don't want it to be triggering. I want it to be deep and like questioning, so that when girls are going ahead to get these things done or contemplating getting these things done, they can really truly sit back and think. Because if you've watched my last video, when I was in that vulnerable place, I would have had 500 things done to myself. I would have had fat sucked from my cheeks. I would have had my chin line shut. Like, horrendous when I think back on it. The type of things I wanted to do. So, and as I said, people might just think, oh, it's just a little bit of this, but it does generally lead to other things. And then you're never happy, so you want more of this, or you want to change this because you've had this done. Okay, now I want this done. And I'm seeing it all the time with influencers. So it's not me just making this up. Like, I'm physically seeing this happening with people online saying they had something done last year and now they want to have this done, or they started getting this done but now they want to have this done. I recently was watching like YouTuber that I really like, and she was talking about how she used to get Botox, but now she realised she keeps on getting Botox in her lips, and it's not giving her the look she wants. She wants an actual lip lift where they like pull the upper lip up and like lift it and position it differently. But yeah, I want the video to end on the question of what can you do to be more comfortable in yourself? What can you do to be kinder and gentler to yourself? What can you do to affirm, I am who I am, I look how I look, and I'm not going to allow external factors influence that? And what can you do to appreciate everyone's individuality and everyone's different looks, and to not put your external as such a priority? Because as I said, when you're lying there and you're about to go and it's your last moment, you are not going to be thinking, God damn, I should have worn a full face of makeup to Tesco last week. You are not going to be thinking that. You are going to be thinking, what could I have done differently? I really enjoyed these parts of my life. This brought me so much joy. You're going to be reminiscing on beautiful memories you've created in life, and you're not going to be fixated on keeping up with the appearances, keeping up with the trends, keeping up with the pressures, giving in to the pressures, disregarding yourself, rejecting yourself to reconstruct. And ultimately, I have to be unapologetic in this video. I have to be raw in this video. I have to be real in this video. And it is all done so with love. It is all done so with deep, deep, deep compassion for anyone who is in a feeling of self-rejection, or anyone who is in a feeling of unworthiness, or anyone who's stuck in a rut of comparison. But do not let the thief of joy, being comparison, take from you. Put your energy and love into yourself, because baby girl, there is nobody in the world more worthy than you. Lots of love, Lilos.